Hello and welcome back everyone. My name is Lalit Soni and you are watching Target UPSC Prelims 2024 Current Affairs Series. In this particular discussion, we will dedicate our attention to the IR or international relations. We will discuss important events which has happened in the last year. So let's start our discussion, and before moving ahead, I would like to make an announcement that to enhance your preparation for prelims, Drishti IAS has come up with a UPSC Prelims Test Series 2024. The test series will be available both in online as well as offline mode. The medium of the test series will be both, that is English as well as Hindi. We are starting this test series from 7th of April, and there will be 10 tests in which you will be getting GS as well as CSET. So don't wait and go and enroll for the test series and enhance your prelims preparation. Now let's come back to our discussion that is related to IR. First topic is related to 25th anniversary of Pokhran II. Okay, when we are talking about Pokhran, it rings a bell that it is somewhere related to your nuclear test. When we are talking about nuclear test, India has performed two nuclear tests. One was in 1970s and second was in 1990s. Okay. When we are talking about Pokhran II, it was 11th of May 1998. So we have actually finished nearly 25 years of this particular test. So we are celebrating the 25th anniversary of Pokhran II. So this date specifically becomes important, that is May 11th, because we are celebrating National Technology Day on this particular day to honor Indian scientists, engineers, technologists to mark the successful nuclear bomb test explosion. So, okay, when we are talking about Pokhran II, it has been a milestone in India's nuclear power journey. So, let's have a look at it. So, when we are talking about the nuclear power, India started its journey in 1945 with the leadership of Dr. Homi Jahangir Baba, and we have set up an institution, that is Tata Institution of Fundamental Research in Bombay. The aim, or you can say the objective behind this particular institution, was to go for the experiments, or you can say research in nuclear physics. Afterwards, in 1954, we have established the Department of Atomic Technology under the leadership of Dr. Baba. Okay. Now coming to the other part of it, we have gone for the first test, that is Pokhran 1 in May 18th, 1974. It was the first nuclear bomb test of India at Pokhran Test Range in Rajasthan. The code name of this test was Smiling Buddha. You must have heard about it, and please remember this particular name, that is important. India became the 6th country in the world to have nuclear weapon capability after America, Soviet Union, Britain, France and China. So that was an achievement for India, and afterwards in 1998 we have gone for the another test from 11th to 13th May 1998, and the code name for this particular test was Operation Shakti, and it was also performed in the Pokhran test range in Rajasthan. Okay, so these are the two tests for which I would say that please remember these code names. Okay, now coming to the nuclear doctrine, India's nuclear doctrine. India has a nuclear policy wherein we are talking about the policy of credible minimum deterrence. Our aim behind acquiring nuclear weapon is not to go for any kind of arms race. Our aim is to get a deterrence against countries which we are living in, or you can say the countries which in which neighborhood we are living in. Okay, so we have Pakistan on one side, we have China on one side. So we had this information that Pakistan was also going for acquiring of nuclear weapon, and that is why in 1998 we have gone for the nuclear test. Okay, so our aim behind the nuclear test or acquiring the nuclear weapon was to attain a deterrence. A deterrence means that will make sure that the Pakistan or China will not go for nuclear attack, because they know that India also has a nuclear capacity. Okay, as a matter of fact, it will get you a deterrence against the conventional war as well. Okay, so that was the aim behind it. It maintains a sufficient nuclear arsenal for deterrence purpose and would not engage in the arms race. Okay, India came out with its nuclear doctrine in year 2003, and we have a no first use policy. We will not go for the first use. Okay, and for that it becomes important that India has a good second strike capacity. Okay, and India has come up with the nuclear triad. So India has a capacity wherein we can launch nuclear attack from land, air as well as from the sea. Okay, so that makes sure that India has a deterrence, because India has a nuclear triad and we have a very strong second strike capacity. If someone is going for an attack on us, or you can say nuclear attack on us, because we don't have a no first use, we have a no first use policy, and if someone is going for a nuclear attack on India, we will have a second strike capacity, and we make sure that particular person will see a consequences to that. Okay, So now moving further, there are certain treaties, or you can say there are certain international organizations which India is a member of, and there are certain in which India is not a member of. So we will talk about certain treaties wherein we will see whether India is a member or not, and I would want you to go and make a note of these treaties, okay, wherein you can go for at least 2 or 3 lines, or you can say get some idea about these treaties. Okay, so first is Non-Proliferation Treaty, that is NPT 1968. India is not a signatory because we see that this treaty is discriminatory in nature and it lacks reciprocal obligation from the nuclear power states. Okay. Then second treaty is Nuclear Suppliers Group. India is not a member of it, yet we want to be a member of this particular treaty. Then third here is the CTBT, or Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty. India has not signed it. Similar reservation India has. Then Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. India is not a member of this as well. Then we have Wassenaar Agreement. Okay, so India joined Wassenaar Agreement as a 42nd member in 2017. So this becomes important for you. Please remember that. Okay, now moving ahead to the next article or next discussion, that is related to your G7 summit, 49th G7 summit that has happened in Hiroshima in Japan. Okay, so please remember this particular location. Obviously, Hiroshima is famous, you know why. Okay. Then during the 49th G7 summit, member countries outline milestone in their climate wish list. Okay, so they have talked a lot about climate. We will talk about that as well. So global peak in emission by 2025. This summit says that all the countries in the world should go for their peak emissions by 2025, and after 2025 these emissions should reduce. Okay, because we have a target of temperature to restrict it to 1.5 degree temperature change from the pre-industrial level. Okay, to achieve that target, this should be the case that after 2025 our emissions should drop for every country. Okay, if all countries only meet their existing commitments, emissions in 2023 will be about 11% above the 2010 levels. Right now we have nationally determined commitments, and if all countries are going for fulfillment of these particular commitments, then also by 2030 we will surpass 11% above the 2010 level. Okay, so that says that what kind of crisis we are living in and what are the needs for us to go away from the fossil fuels. Okay, now second, here we will see ending the use of fossil fuels. Did not set any specific deadline. They have talked about ending the use of fossil fuels, but did not talk about any specific deadline. They have said that they will phase out of the sustainable fossil fuels in line with the 1.5 degree Celsius trajectory. Okay, the aim to eliminate insufficient fossil fuel subsidies by 2025. If there is an insufficient fossil fuel subsidy by any country, then they are saying that we will actually do away with by 2025. Okay, but the thing again, they have not talked about the definition of insufficient subsidies. So ultimately that is also a vague area here. Okay, then G7 countries claim to have stopped financing a new fossil fuel based energy project except in the limited circumstances. Okay, so there are still limited circumstances where they can go for a project which is based on the fossil fuel. Okay, so ultimately there is no concrete, you can say. They have talked about some vague terms. Okay, now moving further, net zero target. Now G7 countries are saying that the world over every country should commit to net zero by 2050. If you want to achieve our target of 1.5 degrees Celsius, then you have to go for this thing by 2050. By the mid of the century, every country should actually go net zero. When we are talking about net zero, we are saying that our emissions should be equal to the carbon which has been captured. Okay. Now, G7 has reiterated its commitment to achieve net zero status by 2050 and urged other major economies to do the same. To meet 1.5 degree target, entire world will have the net zero by mid-century. China has this aim or target to be net zero by 2060, and India has this target to be net zero by 2070. Okay. The post-2050 targets of major developing countries may change with evolving technologies and adoption of the clean energy. Okay, so these are the targets. I would suggest that please remember target of India, that is 2070. Please remember target of China, that is 2060, and target of G7 is 20 2050. And for all over the world, if you want to achieve the target of 1.5 degrees Celsius, you should go for net zero by 2050. Okay. Now moving further, here about the G7 group itself, we will talk. So this you can say inter-governmental organization or grouping was formed in 1975. Okay, there are 7 members, that is UK, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, and US. You can say that it is Western dominated. Okay, so they meet annually. They talk about the issues of global importance that can be related to your economic governance, international security, energy policy, etc. All G7 countries and India are part of G20, which we will see in the further slides. The G7 has no formal charter or secretariat. Okay, so that is important point which you have to remember. And presidency of G7 group, that actually rotates on the basis of membership. Okay, so every year there will be another president for it. Okay. Now moving further, here you can see these are the member of G7: Germany, UK, France, Canada, US, Italy, and Japan. And when we add Russia, that was earlier it was G8. And when we are talking about the G20, there are 19 member countries plus European Union. Okay, so here you can see Turkey, then European Union, Argentina, Brazil, South Korea, Mexico, China, Indonesia, Saudi Arabia, Australia, India, and South Africa. So we can say that India is member of G20. Please remember that. Okay, and we are not member of G7 or G8. Okay. Now moving further to the next article, which is related to your Asian Development Bank, wherein they have come up with the country partnership strategy for India in 2023 to 27. Okay, here you can say Asian Development Bank launched 23 to 27 country partnership strategy for India. This new strategy will focus on the key area to accelerate India's growth and promote inclusive growth. Okay, so main focus or the main aim will be on inclusive growth. Here there are certain areas, that structural transformation and the job creation, then promoting climate resilient development and deepening social and economic inclusion. Okay, so they are talking about development, job creation, as well as the inclusion, and development should be sustainable. Now sustainable as well as climate resilient. Okay, here you can see Asian Development Bank. It is a regional development bank with the headquarters in Manila, Philippines, and it was established in 1966. Okay, the aim is to promote social and economic development in Asia Pacific region. Here please pay attention that it is for the Asia Pacific region. Okay, that will decide whether it will have a member in Asia or otherwise as well. So it has nearly 68 members, 49 members states from the Asia Pacific region and 19 members from the other regions. So beside Asia Pacific region, there are other members as well. Okay, new was included in this group in 2019. This is the latest member, and India is the founding member of ADB. So that fact is important. They can ask you very well. Okay, it assists members and partners by providing loans, technical assistance, grants, equity investment to promote social and economic development. Okay, so I hope this is very clear. These are the member, or you can say headquarters, regional headquarters. Okay, so I just wanted to tell you from this particular thing that when we are talking about the Asia Pacific, so this is the region we are talking about, but still we have membership in these areas as well, and members like you can say here Canada, Denmark, Finland, France, Germany, Ireland, Italy, these are also member. United States is also a member of this particular organization. Okay, now moving further, business ready or be ready project. So this is the next topic. You must have heard about this particular report, that is doing business report by World Bank. Now World Bank has replaced this particular report by this be ready or business ready project. Okay, so let's see. The World Bank group announced business ready report project to replace doing business ranking in May 23. Important points are: initial report will be for the 54 economies, and in next 2 years they will add other economies as well. The report aims to help countries attract investment and accelerate growth and increase employment and the productivity. Okay, so obviously they are talking about the economic growth, employment and investment. Okay, so whenever we are talking about the World Bank, mostly they will be talking about the development and the growth. Okay, so here you can see the same thing. Okay, now moving further, a more balanced and the transparent approach from the previous one. Previously, when we are talking about the doing business project, they have taken approach which is more balanced and the transparent. Okay, it will be fairer and more open. It will include workers' right as well, which has been talked about by the International Labour Organization. Then data transparency and integrity will also be included. So that will be ensured by World Bank releasing all the data which they will be collecting for this particular report. Okay. Now moving further, business ready report will focus on certain topics. There are nearly 10 topics which are related to stages of company, such as starting a business, utility services, labor, dispute resolution, market competition, taxation, bankruptcy. So anything which is basically is part of your stages of a business, then they will be taken care of. The report also look at the elements such as worker safety, environmental sustainability, and market competitions. Okay. Now we will talk about World Bank itself. Okay. So it is a global financial institution which provide loans, grants, and other financial assistance to the developing countries. Okay. Then the mission is to reduce the poverty and promote economic growth. As I told you, whenever there is a talk of development and the economic growth, that World Bank come into picture. Okay. And if there is a talk about balance of payment crisis, or let's say any kind of loan related activities, then IMF will come into picture. Okay. Now, it does this by providing financial and the technical assistance to the for the support to the developmental projects. Okay, in the sectors such as education, health, infrastructure, and agriculture. Then it was established in 1944. Okay, and there are 5 institutions which has been working as the, you can say, World Bank group. Okay, so there is International Bank of Reconstruction and Development. Obviously, they are talking about reconstruction and development. So they will provide you loan, etc., for the development activity. Then International Development Association, that is also related to development. Then International Finance Corporation. So corporation they are talking about. So basically they are talking about the private sector here. So they will deal with the private sector internationally. Then Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency. So for the investment and the credit related guarantees, they will come into picture, that is MIGA. Then International Center for Settlement of Investment Dispute, ICSID. So basically they will be coming to picture whenever there will be a investment dispute between 2 countries or more than 2 countries. Okay. So this is about the World Bank and the other components. There are 5 components of World Bank and we have discussed. Okay. So when we are talking about NATO, you know that this was a collective security organization. Okay. And US bloc members while during the Cold War time. So in the time of Cold War or before that, there were 2 blocks, that is one is US and then there was this USSR bloc. So most people who were in the US bloc, they actually went for the NATO. Okay. So this is basically a committee of you can say a organization of few members, and it is mostly Western members are there. Okay. So we will see membership. But when we are talking about NATO plus, so there are certain nearly 32 members in NATO, and they have added 5 more members, that is Australia, New Zealand, Japan, South Korea, and Israel. Okay, so these 5 members they have added, and they are calling it as NATO plus. Okay, it is fairly simple, and it has been in news because now they are saying that to strengthen NATO plus, India should also join. They are actually convincing India to join this particular organization. Okay, so let's see. A committee of US Congress has recently recommended strengthening NATO plus by including India in the 5 members grouping. Okay. Now about NATO plus, it is a group of 5 countries including the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Israel, and South Korea. Okay. The group works for the promoting global defense cooperation. Okay. Now moving further, what is NATO? We have talked about NATO plus. Now we will see what is NATO. So basically it is a transatlantic alliance of 32 like-minded countries which are from your North America or from the European countries. As I told you, this is Western dominated bloc. Okay. Then it was established in 1949, April 4. If you can remember this, well and good. Otherwise, please remember the year. Okay. That is 1949 by North Atlantic Treaty, or you can say Washington Treaty. Okay. So this particular statement is quite important for you. Objective is to safeguard peace and guarantee territorial integrity, political independence, and security of the members. Okay, headquarters is in Brussels, Belgium. Now there is a particular section of this particular treaty. Okay, so section 5, article 5 of the treaty, not section, article 5. Article 5 of the treaty, if there is an armed attack against one, that will be considered as an attack on everyone else. Okay, so if let's say if someone is attacking on a NATO country, so it will be considered as an attack on altogether on NATO. Okay, so here we can say that it is a collective security organization. Okay, if there is an armed attack against one of the members state, it will be considered attack on against the all members, and other members will assist the attacked member with the armed forces if necessary. Okay, so this is about NATO. Now these are the members. There are 32 members. The recent one is basically Sweden, because Finland had joined. Finland was 31st member and Sweden is the 32nd member. Okay, so mostly these are the European countries which are member of NATO. Other than that, we have US and Canada as the members. Okay, so this is about NATO. These are the name of the countries which are given here, so you can have a look at it. Okay, for you this particular thing will be important, that Finland is 31st member which has joined, and Sweden which has joined recently in 2024. So this is the 32nd member, and it is 31st Finland. It in 2023 they have joined. Okay, now moving further, benefits to India by joining membership of NATO plus. India will get facility of uninterrupted intelligence sharing between these countries. So that is first thing, intelligence sharing. Second is access to latest military technology without any time lag. Then third is strengthens India's defense partnership with USA. So these are three benefits which we will get after joining NATO plus. Okay, so India is not yet a member. India is not yet a member of NATO plus. It is just a proposal by the NATO plus countries. Okay, now moving further, European Free Trade Association, EFTA. It is in news because recently India and the 4 nations European Free Trade Association signed a free trade agreement. Okay, in our capital, that is New Delhi. So when we are talking about this 4 nation European Free Trade Association, so that is the countries. You can say that these are the countries which were not able to join European Union, or for some reason they did not join European Union. Okay, so these are the countries, that is Switzerland, Iceland, Norway, and Liechtenstein. Okay, Liechtenstein. So it is given. Okay, Liechtenstein. Then the agreement covers many areas including intellectual property right, trade in services, investment promotions, and cooperation and trade facilitation. Okay, so these are the areas which were included in free trade agreement. Okay, and these are the 4 countries with which we have signed this particular free trade agreement. Okay, as an association, that is called EFTA, European Free Trade Association. Okay, now what is this European Free Trade Association? As I told you, in 1960s they have come up with a block, which these are the countries which could not join European Union, or for some reason they were unwilling to join European Union. Okay, so these include Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway, Switzerland, and they are not part of the EU. Okay, but they are not part of the EU, yet they have access to the single market of the EU. Okay, and this is the locations of these countries. Fine. Now moving further, India, Middle East, Europe corridor. This corridor was announced in our meeting, that is G20 summit, which has happened in India itself, and India was the president this time. Okay, so basically in G20 summit we have announced this particular corridor, and that corridor is to facilitate a transport, or you can say connectivity, in the region of India, Middle East, and to Europe. Okay, so that is a very huge deal, or you can say it is a good investment project. India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor project was signed at G20 summit in New Delhi, which holds significant geopolitical and economic implications for India. The project is part of the Partnership for the Global Infrastructure and Investment, that is PGII. Okay, when we are talking about the PGII, it is a partnership to address the vast infrastructure needs of the low and middle income countries. Okay, so similar project is BRI. Okay, so China is going for BRI, India is going for that is PGII. Okay, now moving further, India Middle East Europe Economic Corridor project. Okay, so there are two corridors in this particular project. One is Eastern Corridor, which will be connecting India to the Gulf countries, and then second is Northern Corridor. From the Gulf, it will be connecting to the Europe. Okay, the IMEC corridor will also include power cables, hydrogen pipelines, and high-speed data cables. Okay, signatories are India, US, Saudi Arabia, UAE, European Union, Italy, France, and Germany. So let's have a look at it here. So from India to the Gulf area, so here you can say this is your Eastern corridor. Okay, and then we have this Northern corridor, which is from Gulf to your Europe. Okay, so this is the Northern corridor. Okay, so there are certain ports here you can see. In India, we are having three ports which will be connected to this. That is Mundra Port, Kandla Port, and Jawaharlal Nehru Port Trust, Navi Mumbai. Okay, so these are the three ports which will be in India, and that will connect to this particular IMEC. Okay, then there is this port, that is Jebel Ali in UAE. We have Riyadh, okay, which is also part of this particular thing, and then we have a port in Israel, that is Haifa port. Okay, so these ports will be important. These other locations which will also be important. So here you can see that from India we are connecting to the Gulf area, and then we are connecting to the Europe. Okay, now moving further, here you can see these are the port which has been added. For UAE there is Fujairah, Jebel Ali, Abu Dhabi. Saudi Arabia there is Dawam, Ras Al Khair port, and then Israel, that is Haifa port. I would want you to remember this Haifa port important, or specifically because Israel has been used for a various reason, or because of the Gaza war. Okay, so for Israel point of view, you can remember one, Rafah crossing. It has been important. Then you can have an idea about this particular area of Sinai Peninsula, Gulf of Aqaba, all these things. Okay, Dead Sea, etc. Then you can remember this Haifa port. Okay, when we are talking about Europe, there is Piraeus port in Greece, Messina port in southern Italy, and Marseille port in France. Okay, and in India, we have already discussed Mundra port in Gujarat, Kandla port in Gujarat, and Jawaharlal Nehru Port Trust, that is in Navi Mumbai. Okay, so these three ports becomes important for you. Now moving further with the next article, that is related to your Rasht-Astara Railway. Okay, so this is also a connectivity project. Ultimately, when we are talking about this particular project, it will be a part of your international north-south transport corridor. Okay, so this is very important because it is connecting India to the Central Asian countries and then to Russia. Okay, so that is why it becomes important. India and Russia are trying on the connectivity related issues. Okay, so recently Russia and Iran signed an agreement for the construction of Iranian railway line in, that is Rasht-Astara Railway, as part of the International North-South Transport Corridor, that is INSTC. Okay, objective is to connect Russia, Iran, Azerbaijan, India, and the other countries by the railway as well as the waterways. So it is multimodal project. Okay, according to Russia, this is the route which could compete with the Suez Canal route. Okay, so when we are talking about Suez Canal, most of the oils which are coming from the Suez route from Russia. Okay, for India. So other than that, also Suez Canal route is the busiest route, and it has been in use recently because of the Houthis attack. Okay, it is controlled, or you can say the revenue is revenue of the Suez Canal goes to Egypt. Okay, and these Houthis attack were there in the Red Sea, and because of which this particular route was affected. Okay, so that is why it becomes other even more important for you. Now coming to this particular railway line, Rasht-Astara railway line, it is a 162 kilometers railway route that will connect city of Rasht, that is in Iran near Caspian Sea, with Astara, that is in Azerbaijan on the borders with the Azerbaijan. Okay, now due to this railway, the travel time will reduce. Okay, and it will be 4 days less than the before. Okay, so there will be a difference of 4 days, and it will result in the significant cost and time saving and create new logistics chains. Okay, it will connect Russian ports on the Baltic Sea along with the Caspian coast to the Iranian port in the Indian Ocean, and then to Indian Ocean region and the Gulf. As I told you, it will be connecting Russia, then to some countries like Iran, then India. So basically here you can say that it will Indian Ocean and the Gulf will come into picture. Okay. When we are talking about Russia, there will be Baltic. Then when we are talking about Azerbaijan, there will be Caspian. Okay. So all these routes or all these water bodies, etc., will be important for you. So keep a tab on that. Okay. Now here you can see this is your Astara and this is your Rasht. Here you can see this is Caspian Sea. What is happening here is that they are going for the railway line here. That is one thing. And then ultimately that will connect to somewhere in Russia. Okay. And Russia's Baltic coast. Okay. So in the next slide here you can see this is the international north-south corridor. Here you can see from India, then to Iran, then Azerbaijan, then Moscow, that is Russia, and St. Petersburg, that is here near somewhere in the Baltic Sea. Okay. So ultimately we are connecting from Baltic Sea to Indian Ocean region. Okay. So countries which are involved here is Iran, Russia, India, Azerbaijan, Armenia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkey, Ukraine, Syria, Belarus, and Oman. These are countries which are part of your international north-south transit corridor. Okay. Now we can move further. That is international north-south corridor, which we have already talked about. It is a 7,200 kilometer multimodal transit system which will connect India. It will be for the movement of cargoes from India, Iran, Azerbaijan, Russia, Central Asia, and Europe. Okay, it was launched in 2000 in St. Petersburg in Iran. By Iran, Russia, and India. So India is a founding member of it. Okay, St. Petersburg is in Russia. Okay, and it expanded to 10 more countries later: Azerbaijan, Armenia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkey, Ukraine, Syria, and Belarus, which we have already seen over here. Okay, now coming to the next article, which is related to your Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Okay, so SCO adopts India's proposal to support DPI. Okay, so digital public infrastructure. Okay, so India has proposed for this particular they have come up with the proposal wherein they said that development should be driven by DPIs. Okay, and SCO has adopted it, which says that India has a greater advantage on the DPI front. Okay, so let's see. Recently, Shanghai Cooperation Organization has adopted India's proposal to promote development with approval of the country's digital public infrastructure. Okay, it reflects India's leadership in the digital sector and bridging the gap or the digital divide in the region. Okay, now India's DPI proposals include, when we are talking about India's DPI, you will be talking about basically your UPI, that is United Payment Interface. Then you are talking about your Aadhaar, UPI, then DigiLocker, etc. So basically what they are basically interoperable application programming interface. You don't have to go into details of it, but basically when we are talking about any application, etc., they have an API. Okay, and these are interoperable because they are connected to each other. Okay, you don't have to go into details of it. And it enables digital inclusion, innovation, and social empowerment. So in India, you know that we have this digital public infrastructure wherein Aadhaar is connected to your bank account, Aadhaar is connected to various schemes, etc. Then we have UPIs are going for the one-tap payment. Okay, so all these things are basically making a life of a citizen easier. Okay, so now proposal is India's proposal to SCO is that development in the region should be based on this digital public infrastructure. Okay, and when it is accepted, it means that it will have a advantage for India because other countries might also take advantage of this digital public infrastructure. Okay, these platforms aim to provide robust, secure digital infrastructure for various services. India's DPI proposal involve collaborating with the SCO members on various aspects of the DPI, such as design, development, implementation, evolution, and the governance. Okay, so basically, as we have a system in India that is based on your Aadhaar, that is based on your UPI, APIs, etc. So we are saying that even SCO members can go for similar things, and since we have already established it, we have advantage over it, so we can help them do it. Okay, now moving further, when we are talking about DPIs, we have already discussed about it. It is related to your digital identity, payment infrastructure, and data exchange solutions. Okay, wherein this India stack becomes very much important. That is Aadhaar Pay. We have IMPS system. We have UPI system. We have Bharat Pay. We have KYC. We have Aadhaar. All these things are basically part of India stack. Okay, so you can go through it and give it a read. Now, when we are talking about the member state of SCO, we have Russian Federation, Russia, Republic of Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and then India, China, and Pakistan. Okay, so basically here Iran is also a recent member. Iran has also joined. Okay, other than that, India and Pakistan has joined in 2017. India and Pakistan. Okay, now here you can see Shanghai Cooperation Organization, or SCO, is a regional intergovernmental organization. It promotes cooperation among the member countries in areas such as security, economy, and culture. Before the formation of SCO in 2001, there was Kazakhstan, China, Kyrgyzstan, Russia, and Tajikistan. These are the members which were called Shanghai Fives. Okay, and ultimately later in 2001, Uzbekistan joined, and then it becomes SCO. Okay, in 2017 Pakistan and India joins, and 23 Iran joins it. Okay, so that is basically about your you can say Shanghai Cooperation Organization. With that, we have finished today's session. So I would like to take your leave. If you have not subscribed the channel, please subscribe the channel, and please be connected with our series, because there are various videos which will be coming again. So thank you. Have a good day.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.